Feeling less dead today. Yeah, less dead. The last week has been rough though. Energetically. Whew. Today was better. Yeah, we looked at. So Andrea saw that you can get a self-constructing tiny house for $3,500. Not self-constructing, but you got to put it together. A DIY tiny house, I guess it is. And I went and looked at properties in California a little bit, and I didn't look very far, but there was one for $3,500 also. So theoretically speaking, if we want to get some land and throw a little miniature house on there, we can do it for less than $10,000, which is I've never even considered the possibility, but apparently it's a thing. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. We're also probably going to look into intentional communities, or something where like minds get together. I'm not sure about that though. Sometimes I value my privacy over everything. So we were talking today a little bit about plans and projections versus staying present. I have a definite block with regards to long-term plans. Most definitely I have that. And I know why it's there, and I can explain all day to people till I'm blue in the face, but they won't be able to get it if they aren't also there, or rather if they aren't also here. If they're off somewhere else in theory land, in concept land, then they won't get what I'm saying. But the central theme of this realm is, it has stayed the same for me through Mandela effects, through timeline shifts, through every energetic shifting that I had since 2016, early 2017. The one thing has remained the same, and that is the parasite entity, or grays, or archons. It's the energy that hides. It hides itself, and it eats. That has remained the central theme the entire time, and in the community that I'm in, that we're in on YouTube, it's common knowledge. People talk about the octopus. Chris Geo said he saw it like physically with his own eyeballs when he took his ayahuasca trip. It's in many books. It's called Wetiko by some. It's called The Virus by some. The Mind Virus. It's called The Parasite. Carlos Castaneda just called it some. He called them farmers essentially, and he called us cattle or slaves. And even the Bible itself and most holy books contain some element of the master-slave duality system. It's everywhere. And you can even, of course, see, if you look out at the systemic oppression that has been going on forever and a half, it's very obvious. If you look at zombified people, it's very obvious. Some people are alive here in the dead realm, and most of them are zombies. But the thing we were talking about is how with speech, what we're brought up in is the crafted speech, the rehearsed speech, the choreographed, the scripted speech. In terms of our own speaking, when we're speaking with anybody, we are fed this notion as well by the fact that everything that we see in media, and I don't mean everything, now there are other forms of energy out there as far as outputting. There is more creativity now in the alternative media, but what we grew up with, it was scripted. There was not a lot of ad-libbing. And I see that as literally as the parasite. It is the mind virus. The projection system that humans naturally had literally got hijacked. And I would like to make an important distinction that it's not, it's the entire projection system in our mind that casts a sort of a line out into the future or back to the past, that it is not in totality been hijacked. It's just, it's been very much, it's been highly contaminated. It's been highly impacted by that virus. It is important as a human to have some level of being able to see what's coming and being able to remember what happened. That's necessary as a human being. But, and like Osho said, and many other masters, if you meditate enough, and again, this is not mysterious. None of it's mysterious. It's practical. Sadhguru said, he said it's just science. It's a spiritual science. So essentially, if you meditate for long enough and you learn how to be present for long enough, a natural byproduct of doing that is spontaneous speech, spontaneous talking. And I don't mean that you didn't sit and write out on a piece of paper what you're going to say beforehand. I mean that internally inside of the mind, you don't have knowledge of what's coming out of your own mouth. You don't have foresight or foreknowledge of what's coming out of your own mouth. And that does not stop it from being cohesive and possibly eloquent, intelligent, all of these things that we enjoy from speakers. It means that you are speaking from a different spot inside of your own physical body. Some people say it's speaking from the heart rather than speaking from the head. But it's not as important where the talking is coming from. It's just important that when you do that, you are not speaking from infection. You're not speaking from parasitic activity in any way, shape, or form. You're speaking in a pure fashion, and it's your own self that comes out. There are not hidden vested interests hiding in your words and in your pauses and in your enunciation. There's no ulterior motives inside of the speech. It's a very simple, like, full self-sharing of exactly what you are in that moment and whatever you feel like sharing. The alternative is mind talking to mind, or straw man talking to straw man, like you have in a lot of social situations where it's just there are social norms and expectations, and if someone says hello, you say hello. You don't say what's up, or decline to say hello and see what happens out of curiosity, or a million other ways that you could react to that. You simply say it becomes exactly like computers talking to each other, which is incredibly boring. The human element that is so valuable that the dark ones wish to capture and somehow replicate is the part that it literally is the part that can't be predicted. It's divine. It's the divine aspect. It can't be predicted. Nobody can predict it. But if they put enough control structures in and get people hooked in on all these things, these substances, these frequencies, and so on and so forth, we know how deep it is. If they can do that, then they get closer. They can get closer to that spark that they're trying to house, and they're trying to grab energy from. So that's a technique. It's a safety technique if you don't want to be siphoned off of. Learn how to be present. Good night, people. Peace.